AITA for revealing my ex's engagement timeline after she called me clingy. I was Owen, 29, and the most embarrassing thing I thought had ever happened to me was getting dumped after only a month of being official. I still had her favorite coffee orders saved in my phone, a hoodie she kept borrowing in my back seat, and enough dignity to believe her when she said she needed to be alone. That was the part that made me feel stupid later. Not that she left. People leave. Feelings change. 1 month of being official doesn't give you ownership over someone's future. I understood that, but I did think it earned me the truth. Brooke was 28, pretty in that effortless way that made people assume she was softer than she really was. We had known each other loosely through a friend group that did birthdays, Friday dinners, game nights, and the kind of casual hangouts where the same 10 people kept rotating around the same restaurants. She was friends with Maya and Jenna. I knew Tyler through a couple of pickup basketball games and happy hours. Carter was a name I had heard before, but at first, I only knew him as Old Drama. Brooke and I started talking after a group dinner where she sat beside me because the table was crowded. She made a joke about the appetizer being too expensive for something that came with 6 leaves and a drizzle, and I laughed harder than it deserved. After that, we ended up talking in the parking lot for almost 40 minutes while everyone else slowly left. She asked about my job, my family, my boring weeknight routine. I told her I liked simple things. Coffee before work, a clean kitchen, early morning drives when the roads were empty, and cooking something decent on Sundays so I didn't eat trash all week. She smiled and said, "That actually sounds peaceful." I didn't know then how much that word mattered to her. For the first few weeks, we kept it casual. Coffee after work, dinner at a place that did decent tacos, a movie she picked and then talked through because she had opinions about every character. She was funny and warm and sometimes strangely intense. Not in a bad way, at least not at first. Just the kind of intense where she made small moments feel meaningful. The first time I drove her home after a late dinner, she sat in my passenger seat with one knee pulled up under her and said, "You make me feel safe." I remember gripping the steering wheel a little tighter because I didn't know what to do with that. It was too soon for something that heavy, but the way she said it sounded less like a performance and more like a confession. I said, "I'm glad." She looked out the window and added, "I'm not used to someone being this steady." That became the theme. I was steady. I was calm. I was different from whatever messy thing she had been through before. She never gave me the full details. She only dropped vague pieces, like breadcrumbs she didn't want me to follow. I have history I'm trying not to bring into this. Old stuff still messes with my head sometimes. I'm trying not to repeat patterns. I didn't push. I figured everyone had old hurt. I had my own. I also figured if someone wanted to tell you something, they would tell you when they were ready. So I listened when she talked, gave her space when she asked for it, and tried not to punish her for having complicated feelings. Looking back, that was exactly what made me useful. When we became official, it wasn't some big romantic scene. We were in my kitchen, standing over takeout containers because we had both been too tired to plate anything. She was wearing my gray hoodie, the one that always ended up in my car afterward because she forgot it there. I asked, half joking, "So what are we doing here?" She looked at me over the little plastic cup of sauce and said, "I want this to be real." I said, "Okay." She laughed. "That's it. Just okay. What do you want, fireworks?" "No," she said. "I like that you don't make everything dramatic." Then she stepped closer, put her arms around my waist, and said, "I don't want to rush this because it actually feels healthy." That line stayed in my head for weeks. Healthy, real, safe, steady. I wasn't love-bombing her. I wasn't talking about moving in. I wasn't asking for passwords, tracking her location, or telling her she owed me every minute of her day. I just showed up. If she had a bad day, I called. If she needed a ride after dropping her car off, I gave her one. If she wanted to sit in my living room and talk through an anxiety spiral at midnight, I made coffee I knew I shouldn't be drinking and listened. She could be sweet in small ways too. She would leave a note on my counter that said, "Thanks for being you." She would text me a picture of a dog she saw on her lunch break because she knew I liked dogs. She memorized that I hated olives and always picked them off shared plates before I had to. But then there were the disappearing hours. At first, it was easy to explain. Work, family stuff, a bad mental health day, a nap that turned into 4 hours. I didn't need constant communication, so I didn't make a thing out of it. But sometimes she would go from warm to distant so fast it felt like a light switching off. One Friday, we had plans to meet at my place and cook dinner. At 5:11, she texted, "Can we do later? I'm processing something." I asked, "Everything okay?" 3 hours passed. Then, "Yeah, just emotional bandwidth. I'll call tomorrow." The next morning, she called like nothing happened and asked if I wanted to grab coffee. When I gently asked what had happened, she said, "Just old stuff. I don't want to dump that on you." I accepted that. Another time, during a group dinner, Tyler mentioned Carter's name. It was casual, something about Carter helping him fix a tire or missing a game night. Brooke went quiet. Not dramatic quiet. Just enough that I noticed she started folding the corner of her napkin over and over. When we got to my car afterward, I asked, "Was that weird for you?" She stared ahead. "Carter and I have history." "Okay. I'm not with him," she said quickly. "I didn't say you were." She exhaled like she had been waiting for me to accuse her. "It's just complicated. I should have asked more. I know that now. But at the time, I thought respecting someone's privacy was the adult thing to do." A month after we became official, Brooke broke up with me on my couch. It was a Tuesday night. I remember because I had made pasta, and she barely touched it. She sat with her legs tucked under her on the far end of the couch, hands wrapped around a glass of water she hadn't sipped from once. Her eyes were shiny before she even started talking. "Owen," she said, "you're good to me." I already hated where it was going. She continued, "And that's exactly why I can't use you while I'm this confused." I sat back. "Use me? I need to be alone," she said. "I'm not ready to be with anyone. I thought I was, but I'm not. I don't want to hurt you by dragging you into my healing." The words sounded polished, like she had practiced them in the mirror or pulled them from a podcast. Healing. Space. Emotional bandwidth. Not ready. I asked, "Is there someone else?" She looked hurt that I had even said it. "No, that's not what this is." "Then what is it?" I don't know how to explain it without sounding broken. I remember looking at her and feeling my anger soften into concern, which embarrasses me now. She knew exactly which door to knock on. I said, "You don't have to explain everything. I don't like it, but I'll respect it." She cried then. Not loud, just tears down her face, silent enough that I almost felt guilty for being the one dumped. "You're proving you're a good person," she said. That was a strange thing to say. I didn't notice how strange until later. She hugged me at the door for a long time. Her face was pressed into my chest, and she whispered, "I hope someday you understand." I said, "I hope you find peace." Then she left with her purse, her phone, and apparently, the clean version of the story already packed. For the next month, I did exactly what I thought a decent person was supposed to do. I didn't beg. I didn't send paragraphs. I didn't show up at her place. I didn't ask Maya what Brooke was doing. I moved her text thread out of my pinned conversations. I stopped ordering from the coffee place where her drink still popped up as a saved favorite. I found her hoodie in my back seat and tossed it into the hall closet because I didn't have the heart to throw it away yet. Once, late at night, I typed, "I miss you. Are you okay?" Then I deleted it. That was the closest I came to chasing her. I gave her the clean exit she asked for. Then, 1 month later, I opened Instagram while waiting for my coffee and saw her hand wearing a ring. It was the first photo in a carousel. Brooke smiling with her cheek against Carter's shoulder. Carter holding her left hand up just enough to show the diamond. A restaurant table with champagne glasses. A close-up of a dessert plate with "Congratulations" written in chocolate. Brooke in a cream dress I had never seen. Carter in a dark button-down, both glowing like they had just stepped out of a commercial for second chances. The caption said, "I said yes to the man who has loved me through every season." My first thought wasn't even anger. It was confusion. Every season? I had apparently been a 30-day weather delay. I clicked the comments, which was a mistake. Mutual friends had flooded the post with heart emojis. Finally, "You two always come back stronger. This is the love story. So happy you two found your way back." An older woman I guessed was Carter's aunt had reposted it on Facebook with, "Couldn't be happier for these two. Real love always finds its way home." Finds its way home. I sat in my car with my coffee cooling in the cup holder and felt something hard settle in my stomach. I wasn't mad that she got engaged. Not exactly. People make wild decisions all the time. I was mad because the caption and the comments made it clear that everyone else had been watching a different movie than I had. In their version, Brooke and Carter were epic. Messy, maybe, but inevitable. They had seasons. They had a history. They had a comeback. So what had I been? A week? A mistake? A prop? I closed Instagram and told myself to let it go. It was humiliating, yes, but it didn't have to become my business. If she wanted to run from, I need to be alone, straight into an engagement that said more about her than it did about me. That lasted until Maya texted me that afternoon. Hey, I saw Brooke's post. I just wanted to check on you. I hope you're doing okay. I stared at the message for a minute before answering. I'm surprised, but I'm fine. Maya replied. I know she felt overwhelmed. I hope you're not beating yourself up. That made me sit up. Overwhelmed by what? I typed. I haven't spoken to her since she ended it. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then Maya wrote, I don't want to get in the middle. I already knew I was in the middle. I just hadn't been told. Maya, I wrote, what did she say? A few minutes passed. She said you got attached really fast, and the breakup was difficult. Like you had a hard time accepting she needed space. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I wrote, she said that. Maya answered, that was the impression, yeah? I thought you were maybe sending a lot of messages. I sent 0. Another pause. Then Maya wrote, oh, that little word did more damage than a paragraph. Because it told me she believed Brooke first. They all probably had. I called Maya instead of texting. She answered with a nervous, hey. I said, I'm not going to yell at you. I need to understand what people think happened. She sighed. Owen, she just made it sound like you were more into it than she was, and she had to be careful because you were intense. Intense how? I don't know. Like emotionally attached. She said you were sweet, but kind of a lot. I laughed once, and it came out sharper than I meant. She cried on my couch and told me I made her feel safe. I didn't know that. Of course you didn't. Maya went quiet. Then she said, I should have asked you. Yeah, I said. You should have. After we hung up, I did something I had been avoiding. I opened the old text thread. I hadn't deleted it. I had only hidden it from myself. Now I scrolled through it like I was reviewing a contract after realizing I had signed the wrong page. The more I looked, the less it felt like heartbreak and the more it felt like accounting. There were dates, times, little details I hadn't cared about before. 3 days before she broke up with me, Brooke had texted me at 11:42 p.m. I miss feeling safe with you. I had responded, you can call me if you need to talk. She replied, no, I don't want to be unfair. I just wanted to say it. At the time, I thought that was her being emotionally honest but conflicted. Now I wondered where she had been when she sent it. I went back to the engagement post. Tyler had tagged Carter in one of the photos, but Tyler had also posted his own picture from what looked like the same restaurant. It wasn't an engagement announcement, more like a group shot from a private dinner. Carter had his arm around Brooke's chair. Brooke's hand was on the table beside his. The post was dated 2 days before Brooke broke up with me. 2 days. I clicked through Tyler's story highlights because apparently I had become the kind of man who investigated Instagram like a detective with bad lighting. In one old highlight, there was a quick blurry clip of a restaurant table, people laughing, Brooke's cream dress flashing at the edge of the frame. Carter's wrist was visible as he reached for a glass. He wore a leather bracelet with a silver clasp. The same bracelet from the engagement photos. That could have been nothing. People own bracelets. People go to restaurants. People take photos. But then Jenna messaged me. Jenna was in the group chat, the one stupidly named Friday people, because we usually made plans on Fridays and nobody had ever bothered to rename it. She and I weren't close, but we had always been friendly. Her message started with, I don't know if I should send this. Nothing good ever follows that sentence. I wrote, send it. A screenshot came through. It was from a smaller group chat I wasn't in. Brooke's name was at the top of one message. The date was from the second week Brooke and I were official. Brooke had written, Owen is sweet. Honestly, he's a good distraction while Carter figures himself out. I stared at that sentence until the words stopped looking real. A good distraction. Not boyfriend. Not someone she was dating seriously. Not even a mistake. A distraction. Jenna sent another message quickly. I'm sorry. I thought it was just venting at the time. With everything now, it feels gross. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on. Did people know she was still involved with Carter? Jenna answered, I think some people knew they were on a break. Brooke made it sound like Carter was being awful and she was trying to move on. Did she make it sound like I knew that? No. I put the phone down and walked around my apartment for a while. Kitchen to living room to hallway, hallway back to kitchen. The coffee order saved in my app suddenly felt pathetic. The hoodie in the closet felt like evidence from a crime I hadn't known was happening. That night, I opened my laptop to pay a bill, and her email account flashed in the browser drop-down. I froze. Before anyone decides I hacked her, I didn't. Weeks earlier, Brooke had used my laptop to check her email because her phone was dying while we were watching a movie. She must have clicked Stay Signed In, and I had never noticed because I had no reason to go looking. I should have closed it. I know that. Instead, I clicked. Her inbox opened. I didn't search through everything. I didn't read personal emails. I typed one word into the search bar because it had been sitting in my head since the Instagram post. Celebration. One email came up from the restaurant in the engagement photos. Subject: Celebration dinner reservation confirmed. The date of the reservation was the same night as Tyler's tagged photo. 2 days before Brooke sat on my couch and told me she needed to be alone. The reservation was for a private room. Party of 12. Carter's name was on the reservation, but Brooke had received the forwarded confirmation. I sat there looking at the screen, not feeling triumphant, not even angry in a loud way. Just cold, like someone had opened a window inside me. I took a screenshot of the subject line and date. Then I logged out of her account and removed it from my browser. After that, I built a timeline. I opened the Notes app on my phone and started with dates only. Brooke and I became official. Brooke texted, "I miss feeling safe with you." Tyler's tagged restaurant photo. Celebration dinner reservation. Brooke's breakup text, "I need to be alone. I'm not ready to be with anyone." Engagement announcement. Maya's text saying Brooke felt overwhelmed. Jenna's screenshot, "A good distraction." I attached screenshots under each date. No insults. No names besides the ones already involved. No dramatic captions. The dates were doing enough talking. For 2 days, I did nothing with it. That was harder than it sounds. There is a specific kind of rage that comes from being lied about quietly. If someone screams at you in public, at least everyone knows there was a fight. But when someone calmly paints you as unstable behind your back, you start looking guilty just by defending yourself. I wanted to post the timeline. I wanted to tag everyone who commented "finally" and ask where exactly I fit inside Brooke and Carter's every season. I wanted to send Carter the screenshot and say, "Congratulations, your fiancé was texting me about feeling safe while you were apparently planning dessert." But I didn't. Because the truth was, I didn't want Brooke back. I didn't even want revenge in the messy way people imagine it. I wanted my name out of her mouth. I wanted the story to stop being told at my expense. Then Maya invited me to dinner. Her text said, "A few of us are getting together Friday. Casual thing. You should come." I feel bad that everything got weird. I asked, "Is Brooke going?" Maya replied, "I think maybe, but it's not about her. Just group dinner." That should have been my warning. I almost said no. Then I thought about how avoiding everyone would only make the clingy story worse. If I disappeared from the group, Brooke would get to act like I was too wounded to be near her. If I showed up calm, maybe people would at least see I wasn't the obsessive ex she had described. So I went. The restaurant was nice, but not ridiculous. Dim lights, long wooden tables, framed black and white photos on the walls, and servers in black shirts moving like they had been trained not to notice drama. Maya had said casual, so I wore jeans and a dark jacket. When I walked in and saw the private room in the back decorated with a few small white flower arrangements, I stopped. At the long table sat Brooke, Carter, Tyler, Jenna, Maya, and several others from the friend group. There were champagne glasses already poured near the middle. Brooke's ring caught the light as she lifted her hand to tuck her hair behind her ear. Casual. Sure. Maya spotted me and immediately looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. She hurried over and whispered, "I didn't know they were making it an engagement thing." I looked past her at Brooke, who had gone very still. "Then I guess we're all learning things tonight," I said. Maya winced. I considered leaving. I really did. My hand was still near the door. I could have walked out, gone home, ordered food, and kept my dignity untouched. Then Tyler leaned toward Carter and said something I couldn't hear. Carter glanced at me, then back at Brooke. Brooke gave him a small, wounded smile, like my presence was something she had bravely prepared for. That decided it. I sat down. Dinner started awkwardly. People overcompensated with menu talk. I heard the salmon's good. "Do we want appetizers?" Has anyone tried the short rib here? Jenna barely looked at me. Maya kept taking tiny sips of water. Tyler acted normal in the way people act normal when they are terrified of silence. Brooke, though, performed beautifully. She was soft, gracious, a little emotional. She squeezed Carter's hand when someone asked about wedding plans. She laughed gently when Tyler joked that Carter had finally locked it down. She spoke about timing and growth, and how sometimes love needed space to come back stronger. I watched Carter while she talked. He looked proud, but also protective. Every time Brooke's voice got a little shaky, he leaned closer. Then someone at the far end of the table, a friend named Alicia who clearly had no idea what she was stepping into, looked between me and Brooke and said, "Is this weird? I mean, I'm glad everyone can be adult about it." Nobody breathed. Brooke gave a small sad smile. "I really hope Owen is healing," she said. "I never wanted to hurt him, but he got attached way too fast." My fork stopped halfway to my plate. There it was. Not whispered behind my back this time. Not filtered through Maya. Not implied. Said out loud, in front of me, with Carter's hand around hers and half the table ready to look sympathetic. I set my fork down. Then I set my glass down too, because my hand was steady, but I wanted it free. "That's interesting," I said. Brooke's eyes flicked to mine. I continued, "Because when you told me you needed to be alone, your engagement photos had already been taken." The room went quiet so fast I could hear the server outside stacking plates. Brooke blinked. "Owen." I looked at her, not smiling. "What? Don't do this." Her voice stayed soft, but there was panic underneath it. "You misunderstood a lot." "No," I said. "I understood your words. I just finally checked the dates." Carter's posture changed. He straightened slightly, his hand loosening around Brooke's. "What dates?" he asked. Brooke turned toward him. "Carter, this is not the time," I said. It became the time when she said I got attached too fast in front of everyone. Tyler muttered, "Brooke." Jenna stared at her lap. Brooke gave a little laugh, brittle and fake. "This is exactly what I meant. You're making this uglier than it needs to be." I pulled out my phone. "I'm not asking anyone to take my side," I said. "I'm asking you to read the dates." Maya whispered, "Owen." I glanced at her. "No. My name has been used in a story I didn't agree to. I'm done being polite about it." I opened the timeline. Not a slideshow. Not some dramatic presentation. Just a note with screenshots arranged in order. I turned the phone toward Carter first because, despite everything, he was the one sitting there about to marry the lie. "Here," I said. "This is Brooke's breakup text to me." He looked down. The message was clear. "I need to be alone. I'm not ready to be with anyone. I don't want to hurt you by dragging you into my healing." Carter read it. His face tightened. Brooke reached for his arm. I was confused. I swiped to the next screenshot. This is Tyler's tagged photo from the private dinner. 2 days before that breakup text. Tyler's face went pale. "I didn't know." "I know," I said. "I'm not blaming you for posting a photo." Carter stared at the image. Brooke in the cream dress. Carter's arm near the back of her chair. The same table from the engagement carousel. I swiped again. This is the restaurant confirmation. Celebration dinner. Same date. Brooke said sharply, "You went through my email?" I opened my own laptop. I said, "You left your account logged in after using it." I logged out after I saw the subject and date. "That's such a violation," she said. I nodded once. "Maybe. You can be mad about that. But the reservation date is still the reservation date." Carter looked at Brooke. "You told me that dinner was after you ended things cleanly." She swallowed. "It was basically over." I let out a short breath. "That's funny, because after that dinner, you texted me this." I showed the next screenshot. "I miss feeling safe with you." The table went still again. Alicia looked down at her menu like the steak options had become urgent. Carter read the message twice. I could tell because his eyes moved back and forth over the same small space. "You sent him that after the dinner?" he asked. Brooke's eyes filled. "I was confused, Carter. You and I were not okay. I didn't know what was happening." "So was he a mistake?" Carter asked quietly. "Or was I just not supposed to know the details?" She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I almost stopped there. That would have been enough. More than enough. But then Brooke looked at me and said, "You're enjoying this." That did it. "No," I said. "I enjoyed believing you. That was my mistake." Then I opened Jenna's screenshot. Jenna covered her mouth with one hand. I didn't hold the phone up for the whole table like a trophy. I handed it to Carter and let him read it. Brooke's message, Owen is sweet. Honestly, he's a good distraction while Carter figures himself out. Carter stared at it for a long time. His face didn't twist into rage. He didn't yell. He just looked embarrassed in a way that was almost worse. Like every person at that table had watched him realize he hadn't been the hero of a love story. He had been one more person working from Brooke's edited script. You told me he wouldn't leave you alone, Carter said. Brooke wiped under her eyes. Because he was emotionally attached. I didn't chase her, I said. I believed her. There's a difference. Carter looked at me then. Really looked at me for the first time all night. I said, she told you I was obsessed because it made me easier to dismiss. She told me she needed to be alone because it made you easier to hide. Brooke started crying harder. Why would you do this to me? My voice stayed calm, but I felt every word in my chest. Because you already did it to me. You just did it quietly. She shook her head. I never wanted anyone to get hurt. That's not true, I said. You were fine with me getting hurt as long as I stayed quiet. You made me the villain because it made your love story easier to sell. Carter pushed his chair back. The sound scraped through the room. Brooke grabbed his wrist. Please don't walk out right now. He looked down at her hand. I need space. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Tyler, because Tyler apparently had no survival instincts, whispered, damn. Carter pulled his hand free. Brooke stood too fast, her chair bumping the wall behind her. Carter, please. Not here. He said, exactly. Not here. Then he walked out of the private room. Brooke turned on me like the softness had finally cracked. You ruined my engagement dinner, she said. I looked around at the flowers, the champagne, and the friends pretending not to watch. No, I said. I corrected the guest list. Turns out the truth was invited too. That was probably too sharp. I admit that. I wasn't a saint at that table. I didn't float above the situation with perfect emotional maturity. Part of me wanted her to feel, for 5 minutes, the humiliation she had handed me for a month. But I didn't yell. I didn't call her names. I didn't insult her looks, her character, her family, or her relationship. I showed what she wrote and when she wrote it. Brooke followed Carter out. A few seconds later, through the glass near the front, I saw them in the parking lot. Brooke was crying. Carter stood with his arms crossed, looking away from her. Inside, the table remained frozen. Alicia said, very softly, I'm going to use the restroom. No one believed her, but everyone let her go. Tyler rubbed both hands over his face. I swear I didn't know that photo mattered. I know, I said. Maya looked like she might cry. I didn't know she told it like that. You repeated it like that, I said. She flinched. I didn't say it to be cruel. I needed her to understand there was a difference between avoiding drama and helping someone else carry a lie. Jenna finally looked at me. I'm sorry. I nodded, but I didn't comfort her either. The server came in and immediately sensed that dessert was no longer emotionally possible. He asked, is everything okay here? In the voice of a man who knew it wasn't. Maya said, could we get the check? No one argued. I paid for my food and left before Brooke came back inside. In the parking lot, she intercepted me near my car. Her makeup was smudged under one eye, and she had one arm wrapped around herself like she was cold. Owen, she said. I unlocked my car, but didn't open the door. What? You didn't have to do it like that. I looked at her. You didn't have to lie about me. I was scared. Of what? Of looking messy. Of Carter thinking I didn't care about him. Of everyone judging me. So you handed them me instead. She looked down. For the first time all night, she didn't have a polished answer ready. I cared about you, she said quietly. I almost laughed, but it would have sounded meaner than I wanted. No, I said. You cared about how I made you feel when he wasn't making you feel chosen. Her face crumpled. That's not fair. Neither was calling me clingy because your timeline was inconvenient. She wiped her cheek. I was confused, Owen. That doesn't make me evil. I didn't say you were evil. I opened my car door. I said you lied. She stepped closer. Can you please not send that stuff around? There it was. Not an apology. Not concern for what she had done to me. Concern for the radius of the damage. I said, if people stop using my name, I won't need to correct them. Then I got in my car and left. By the time I got home, my phone had 9 messages. Maya, I'm sorry. I should have asked you instead of assuming. Jenna, you had every right to correct it. I'm sorry I stayed quiet. Tyler, Carter is asking me about the photo date. I told him the truth. Alicia, who I barely knew. I'm sorry. I had no idea. There were also messages in the Friday People group chat. Carefully worded ones. Awkward ones. People asking if everyone was okay, which is what people ask when nobody is okay and nobody wants to say who caused it. So I sent one message. Since my name keeps coming up, here's the timeline. I'm not debating it. I'm asking everyone to stop repeating a version that isn't true. After this, leave me out of it. Then I attached the same clean timeline. Breakup text. Tag photo date. Restaurant confirmation date. I miss feeling safe with you. Good distraction. Engagement post. No commentary. No insults. Just the calendar. For about 20 minutes, no one responded. Then someone left the group chat. I still don't know who did first because once one person left, two more followed. Not dramatically. No speeches. Just little gray notifications dropping like receipts. The next morning, Brooke posted an Instagram story. White text on a beige background, because of course. Protecting your peace means accepting that some people will punish you for choosing happiness. Normally, that kind of vague post works because nobody knows the real story. This time, too many people did. Within an hour, it was gone. Later that afternoon, Brooke texted me from a number I hadn't blocked yet. You ruined my happiness. I looked at the message while standing in my kitchen, the same place where she had once worn my hoodie and told me she wanted us to be real. I typed back one sentence. You built your happiness on a lie and got mad when the calendar disagreed. Then I blocked her. I heard pieces of the aftermath from people who apparently decided I was safe to tell the truth to after the truth was already obvious. Carter didn't cancel the wedding on the spot. That would have been too clean, and real life is rarely clean. But he postponed venue appointments. He stopped talking about dates. He asked Tyler for the original photo. He asked Jenna about the group chat. He asked Maya what Brooke had said about me. From what Maya told me, Carter wasn't instantly noble or perfectly rational. He was embarrassed, defensive at first, angry at Brooke, then angry at himself for believing her, then angry that other people had seen him find out. Pride doesn't disappear just because evidence shows up. But he didn't ignore it either. That was all I needed to know. Brooke tried for a while to split the difference. She told some people she had been confused. She told others I had invaded her privacy. She said the good distraction comment was taken out of context, which was impressive because I couldn't imagine a context that made it charming. Not everyone turned on her. That's not how friend groups work. Some people stayed neutral because neutrality is comfortable when the damage didn't happen to you. Some people thought I should have pulled Carter aside privately. Some thought I had every right to say it at the table because Brooke had lied at the table. Honestly, I understood both opinions. Maybe I should have handled it differently. Maybe I chose the messiest room on purpose. Maybe there was a cleaner version where I sent Carter the screenshots privately, told Maya to correct the rumor, and never sat through that dinner. But here's what I keep coming back to. Brooke had multiple chances to leave me out of it. She could have broken up with me by saying, I'm not over someone from my past. It would have hurt, but it would have been honest. She could have told Carter, during our break, I dated someone, and I was unfair to him. Messy but honest. She could have told our mutual friends, Owen didn't do anything wrong. The timing was complicated. Awkward, but honest. Instead, she chose a version where I was too attached, too intense, too much. She chose a version where her engagement was clean because I was dirty. And then she repeated it while I was sitting right there. That was when staying calm stopped meaning staying silent. A few days after the dinner, I cleaned out my car. The gray hoodie was still in the hall closet, half hanging off a shelf like it had been waiting for a decision. I took it down, folded it once, and put it in a donation bag with some old shirts I didn't wear anymore. Then I opened my phone and deleted Brooke's coffee order from the app. That tiny thing hit me harder than I expected. Not because I missed her, but because I realized how many small spaces she had occupied. A saved drink, a photo from a hike, a restaurant I had bookmarked because she said she wanted to try it. A half-finished note in my phone about birthday ideas I would never need. I deleted the photos, removed the reminders, cleared the text thread after saving the evidence somewhere I wouldn't have to see it unless I needed it. Then I put my phone face down and made dinner in a kitchen that finally felt like mine again. I didn't feel victorious in the childish way people imagine revenge feels. Carter pausing the wedding didn't fix the embarrassment. Jenna apologizing didn't erase the screenshot. Maya feeling guilty didn't give me back the month I spent thinking I had been mature while everyone else thought I had been pathetic. But I felt clean. That is the only word for it. The story was no longer being told at my expense. My name was not a convenient shadow in the background of Brooke's fake love story. If people wanted to judge me for exposing her at dinner, they could. At least now they would be judging me with the truth in front of them. Sometimes, I need to be alone is not closure. Sometimes it is just a nicer-looking door someone shuts while they sneak out the back. I don't know what Carter and Brooke will do. I don't check. I don't ask. I don't scroll through her page from burner accounts or wait for updates like her life is a show I am still subscribed to. Whatever happens between them belongs to them now. As for me, I learned something I probably should have known already. Being respectful doesn't mean letting someone rewrite you. Being calm doesn't mean swallowing the lie. And if someone turns you into the villain so their story sounds better, sometimes the only way out is to stop standing inside the role they wrote for you. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.